Bitcoin mining. What is it? How does it work? What's the Bitcoin halving? What is a Bitcoin block? What are transaction fees? If these are questions you want answers to, you're going to want to watch this video until the very end, as we are going to cover all of that, starting with what is Bitcoin mining? To put it in the simplest terms, here from cryptonews.com, Bitcoin mining refers to the process of adding new blocks to the Bitcoin blockchain using a consensus mechanism called proof of work that requires the entire network to agree on the validity of transactions. Bitcoin miners around the world compete for the chance to add a new block and earn block rewards paid in Bitcoins. This is what makes Bitcoin very unique to your central authorities like banks. When I send you money from my bank to your bank, there's what's called a ledger, and these banks keep a ledger on each side. So when I send you money, my bank writes a negative in their ledger and your bank writes a positive. Well, how do we know to trust these people? Bitcoin takes that trust away in a decentralized way and validates those transactions without the need for a central authority. Now, how does Bitcoin mining work? This is from Investopedia. A couple of things I've highlighted I'd like to go over. So why do we need miners? Okay, so miners, think of them as auditors. Replace the word miner with auditors. They are doing the work of verifying the legitimacy of Bitcoin transactions and being rewarded for doing it. This convention is meant to keep Bitcoin users honest and to prevent the problem of double spending. A couple things I've highlighted here as well. So a little bit more technical. So if you enjoy the technical side of things, you're going to definitely love this. The mining process. Mining is a complex process, but in a nutshell, transactions are entered into blocks on the blockchain. The block is assigned some information, and all of the data in the block is put through a cryptographic algorithm called hashing. It gets a 64-digit hexadecimal number called a hash, which is part of what miners are solving for. Now, here is an example of what a hash looks like, right? That's highlighted in the green here. So what are target hash and nonces? What miners are doing with their mining rigs is guessing a number that is lower than the target hash. Miners make these guesses by generating as many hashes and nonces as possible. That is why these miners are trying to up their hash power, because the more hash power you have, the quicker you can get through solving these hashes. And so it's a race to the finish line. Whichever miners can solve the hash first, they get the block reward. And so obviously, if you're solving more hashes per second, you're going to have a better chance of winning, which is where the hash power comes in. So miners generate a random hash and use 0 as the first nonce. If that number is wrong, 1 is added, and then the random hash is generated again. This continues to happen until a hash matches the block hash and is less than the target hash that is generated, which is then they would get the fee reward. And then downside, it talks about downsides of mining, right? You see this a lot, and Bitcoin uses a lot of energy. No one ever talks about the good of what Bitcoin is doing. So as far as Bitcoin using more energy, Bitcoin mining sets new sustainability record with increased green energy usage, something that not a lot of people talk about. The Bitcoin ecosystem has achieved a notable environmental milestone. According to a recent report from the Bitcoin ESG forecast, sustainable energy use in Bitcoin mining has reached an unprecedented peak of over 54%. So more than half of all the energy used to mine Bitcoin is used from renewable energy. Then you have, well, what other goods does Bitcoin mining do? Building infrastructure in countries that don't have the infrastructure, bringing power to people that didn't necessarily have power. People are using Bitcoin mining, the heat source generated from those mining units, to heat their homes, to heat their pools, to heat their cars. And so here's another thing. Gridless is extending power to rural Africa. Bitcoin mining has a dirty reputation for using more energy than small countries, but African crypto miners have found a way to use their consumption to keep the lights on in rural communities. 770 million people in the world do not have access to electricity, and many of them are on the African continent. Electrical grids in urban areas fail to reach the rural populace. And so this is where Gridless comes in. One of the founders actually grew up in Africa. Gridless wasn't born with a focus on bringing Bitcoin mining to rural Africans. The company's main aim was to offer affordable energy through microgrids. Bitcoin just uniquely enabled that capability. Gridless, now here's how it works. Gridless partners with an energy producer to co-locate a Bitcoin mining operation with the production point of a microgrid near a rural community. Whatever electricity isn't purchased by the community is used for mining Bitcoin. And the mined Bitcoin represents the microgrid's path to profitability. So bringing potential energy availability to places that wouldn't gotten it more so. So now, probably have heard the halving. Everyone talks about halving. Now, what is the halving? From Investopedia.com, what is the halving? One of the most pivotal events on the Bitcoin blockchain is a halving. This is when the Bitcoin block reward gets literally cut in half. And this happens once every 4 years. The next halving is expected to occur in early to mid 2024, when the block reward will go from 6.25 to 3.125. And just to be exact precise, right now, April 18th, 2024 is when we're looking at the very next Bitcoin halving, which is about 82 and a half days away. Now, a lot of people talk about halving it being good. Some people talk about it being bad. One of them being Cantor Fitzgerald. Bitcoin miners to struggle to turn profits post-halving. The idea behind this is your money, your revenue as a miner is literally getting cut in half. Let's say Bitcoin is at $10,000. You have 6.25 Bitcoin currently being mined per block. That's $62,500 in Bitcoin. If the price of Bitcoin remained $10,000 after the halving, that means your revenue went from $62,500 to $31,250. That is if the price of Bitcoin stays the same, which is what Cantor Fitzgerald is worried about. But on the other end, you have some people who see the supply crunch from what a halving brings. And one of those are some analysts who say Bitcoin can get to $120,000 after the halving. And part of that is due to the Bitcoin fees. So Bitcoin fees soar nearly 1,000% since August as ordinals are back in vogue. So there's two parts to a Bitcoin block and how miners get paid. One is the block reward, which is the halving, the number that gets cut in half every 4 years. And the other one is transaction fees. Now, up until ordinals came about, transaction fees were just micro fees that people paid to send and receive Bitcoin. Now with ordinals and being able to inscribe data and images and all that into the Bitcoin blockchain to each Satoshi, those rewards have skyrocketed. Take a look here at an example from blockchain.com. And I know this to some people, this might seem a little over your head, but I'm gonna break it down for you. Keep it nice and easy. So I want you to look here. Minted 6.25 Bitcoin. That was the block reward. Again, this is the reward that gets cut in half. But the other one, the reward, this is the total reward. And you can see that number is 7.725 Bitcoin, which means that there was over 1.3 Bitcoin in just transaction fees. So as the Bitcoin network grows, as more people are inscribing things on the network, as the ecosystem around Bitcoin is growing, these transaction fees are going to continue to go up, adding more revenue for the miners, no matter whether the block reward gets cut in half or not. Soon enough, in the next 8 to 12 years, these transaction fees are going to be more than the block reward. And you can see here again from blockchain.com. This is a great resource if you want to see where the Bitcoin mining is. And you can see here again, total spent over 5,100 Bitcoin was sent to and from total transactions in this one block with 0.41 in total fees. And of course, the block reward of 6.25. Now, with the halving around the corner, with the ETFs, the worst case scenario that we believe here at Sin City Crypto that Bitcoin can get to is $150,000. That is the absolute worst case scenario. And even with that, you're looking at where the miners are today. They're extremely profitable with 6.25 Bitcoin being getting as the block reward. Once that number gets cut in half, if you do the math, 150,000, that's almost a 4x on the price of Bitcoin from today. So the miners would still be in profit. Best case scenario, we're looking at between $350,000 and $400,000 for the cycle. So we hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know what you think and share this video with friends or family that want to know more about mining. And make sure to hit the like button on your way out and check out our live show Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.